All right. It's been a minute, y'all. What's up? Let me just wait for everything to load in here. We're about a minute early. It's just approaching 2 p.m. / 11 a.m. And we are live on YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Good to see you. Rockfin, are you with us? Rockfin is with us. Rockfin is with us. All right. So we are fit. Man, that was fast. We are officially awake. We'll wait until we'll give people a little bit of a chance to load in here. Twitter, are you going? Yeah, Twitter is going. All right. What's up, everybody? Good afternoon. Good evening. Hello to the future. If you're in Australia, New Zealand, solve climate change. Let the rest of us know what to do. And I'll spread the word. Go ahead, text me. Start with me. I'll spread the word. Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the headline show. We're back. We had a little bit of a break because I was on the road. I was in the Northwest last week. We had shows in Portland, Seattle, and Vancouver. That we is myself and Graham Elwood. Shout out to everyone who came out to the shows. It was really awesome to see you all. We had an amazing time. The heat wave was certainly something. It's almost like something's going on the planet. But we had a fun time, even with the heat wave. Vancouver in particular, sorry about how hot that venue was. There was really nothing anyone could do about it. We did our absolute best, but sorry about that. And I promise next time I come to the Northwest, it will not be during a heat wave. That's going to be the big goal, not during a heat wave next time. But we're good to be back here at Get Your News On with Ron. And of course, to everyone listening to the podcast later, hope all is well in whatever it is you're doing. If you're running errands or whatever else, we got a packed headline show this week, and we got some not so great news, and we got some encouraging news. We got some news. We got an Antitrust Summer update. Is Antitrust Summer in trouble? Well, maybe, but there's been a little bit of encouraging news too. So dead or alive? Well, looks like we're going to find out. But, it's been going back and forth. There's been some discouraging updates, but we're still in this fight. So we're going to be talking about that. We have an Assange update, an update on Julian Assange, an article that came out recently out of Australia. There was a 4118 protest in Los Angeles this week. We're going to be breaking that down. And a little bit of encouraging news out of Kansas when it comes to abortion and what we can take from that. Those are just, that's pretty much the gist of what we're going to be talking about today. So let's start with Julian Assange. You know me, I like to get the not as encouraging things out of the way first. And this is not the world's greatest news, but here's an update on Julian Assange. Let me go ahead and close out of that box. He's not well. Julian Assange's family is living in fear he won't survive extradition process. Now, what is that in regards to? Of course, recently they announced that Julian Assange will be extradited to the United States, which is absolutely terrible news. They are appealing that extradition, the granting of that expedition, and that's where we're at right now. And as Tom Petty said, the waiting is the absolute hardest part, and that's what we're doing. We're waiting. So his family is now worried that he wouldn't survive the extradition should it happen. Julian Assange's family said he's not well as he remains in a UK maximum security prison while fighting an extradition ruling, and they fear he may not survive the process. The WikiLeaks founder has been held in London's Belmarsh prison since 2019, a prison that is not great, a prison that has mold in places, a prison that has big holes in the wall during winter, especially that's brutal, a prison that has had COVID outbreaks, a prison where they have put stuff in the guy's food. Now, not as brutal as what he'd be dealing with in the United States. Could be worse. He could be in the United States. That'd be even freaking worse. But it's already pretty terrible. So Julian Assange is appealing UK Home Secretary Priti Patel's June decision to approve the extradition. But his brother, Gabriel Shipton, said his family is living in fear that he won't survive the whole process. He suffered a mini stroke in October of last year. So Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said in December of 2021, when he was opposition leader, he did not see the purpose of the ongoing pursuit of Mr. Assange and said that enough is enough. So that's some encouraging news. Since his federal election victory, this, of course, is out in Australia, he has not been forthcoming on the issue, saying he would not be pressured into publicly intervening in the case and would deal with the matter through diplomatic channels. That's not as encouraging. Basically, okay, well, you're saying all those nice things on the campaign trail. Now it's time to deliver. Where are you? Oh, you don't want to you don't want to upset the apple cart. You don't want to upset the US and the UK. That's what that sounds like to me. But Mr. Assange's father, John Shipton, said he is not confident the government is lobbying in the background. Well, that's fair. And according to Mr. Shipton, the Australian government hasn't reached out to them. Nobody's contacted me, quote. In fact, they seem to make a lot of effort to not contact me. He wants Mr. Albanese to pick up the phone and solve the matter, as he fears for his son, who he said is not well. Now, Julian's brother has said that even though they haven't heard from the federal government, Mr. Albanese's comments were very encouraging. We are confident, quote, we are confident that there is more support, and from the Prime Minister's statements, enough is enough, and that he doesn't see what purpose is served by Julian being kept in prison. Those are very encouraging things. Hopefully so. I mean, hopefully, like Julian's father is saying, the guy makes a phone call and kind of says, enough is enough. So, also that month, Mexico's President Andrés Manuel López Obrador wrote in a letter to U.S. President Joe Biden that imprisoning Mr. Assange would amount to an affront of freedom of expression, and renewed a previous offer of asylum to him. Now, that is good news. As I've said on this show in the past, my honest fear is that Mexico would be too close to the United States. Well, Mexico is. I mean, yeah, Mexico's not going to change where it's at geographically. You know what I mean? But my big fear is that if he went to Mexico for asylum, my fear would be because of how close that is to the United States, he would not be safe. And you might be thinking, Ron, I feel like you're being overly paranoid. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. It's tough to say. But I would rather he be given asylum somewhere else other than Mexico. And that's not in any way putting down Mexico. It's not Mexico's fault where they are geographically located. So no blame to Mexico. It's just the problem is your roommate to the north, Mexico. I don't think that's the best. I mean, I'm glad the guy's offering it. That's good. Like, it's a good move politically. But I hope that Julian Assange, well, first of all, I mean, I hope he's freed, obviously. But I hope that if he gets asylum, it is elsewhere and not in Mexico, just because of the proximity to the United States. So his health is not good. His family is straight up saying he might not survive. And right now, we're still just waiting to find out whether or not he's going to be sent to the United States. And if he is, there ain't no chance in hell he's going to be treated fairly. And there's a good chance we're not going to know what they do. So, you know, first and foremost, we got to make sure this guy stays alive. And we really got to hope that they don't extradite him to the United States. So it's not looking good. I mean, how else can you got to walk that line of not giving up hope, but also recognizing things for what they are and realizing this is not good. This is not good. This is brutal. And we are living through what will go down in the history books as a true assault on freedom of the press and a true abusive, chilling warning being sent to whistleblowers and those who publish whistleblowers. Julian Assange is going through all of this for doing his job. That's what he did. He did his job. He's a publisher. He publishes documents that powerful people don't want you to see. And he pissed off the wrong people. And this is what he's been tortured. Solitary confinement is a form of torture. So that's the update. His family is very concerned for his health. And I hope someday we have some good news to report before it's too late. I hope that this has a happy ending. It's tough. It's really tough. I mean, my heart goes out to the guy's family. My heart goes out to his recent wife. I mean, he was married recently. It's something. And there are still people who just, they blame Julian Assange for Trump, which is bogus on so many levels. It's ridiculous that they still just have this. Well, who cares? And he did this. I mean, a lot of regular people, they can't even tell you what exactly he's being accused of. They can't tell you what his supposed crime actually is. Like they honestly don't know because of propaganda from the corporate media and also complicity and silence from the corporate media. There was like one day where the corporate media in the United States had a coming to God moment where they were like, maybe this might be a little bit too far here. One day. And then it was back to business as usual. So all we can do is the best that we can. And shout out to all the journalists who are boots on the ground who are not letting this story die. So let's go to Los Angeles now. We're going to go to Los Angeles. So there is there's an ordinance out there called 4118. And 4118, basically, it has rules on where homeless people and houseless people are allowed to be in proximity to a school. Now, some people oversimplify this bill. And they say, it's just saying that homeless people can't be right around a school. They can't be like on top of a school, basically. That's all. First of all, no, that's not all. If that was all it was, I don't see how anyone would be opposed to something like that. And first of all, why specify homeless people? Nobody should be lingering right around a school that doesn't have business being there, regardless of their housing status. I think it's safe to say most people don't want random people, regardless of their housing status, walking around a school playground if they don't belong there, i.e., they work there. Otherwise, you shouldn't be there. I mean, what are you suggesting? Just regular people walking around a school playground? Hey, do you have a house? Yeah, I live somewhere. Oh, okay, then you could stay here. No further questions. If you were homeless, then we'd be worried. But you have a house, that's fine. You guys know Jeff Epstein had a house, right? You guys know that guy had a house. Anyway, my point is, that's not the bill, okay? That's not what the law does. If that was all there was to it, I don't see how any person would be opposed to it. What it does is it institutes a certain measurement in which homeless people aren't allowed to be in proximity to schools. And when you do the math, which Kenneth Mejia did, it demonizes and doesn't allow homeless people in about a fifth of all the sidewalks in Los Angeles, and it expands the area in which they're brutalized by about 400%. That's what it actually does. So if you read what it actually, and I know I did a video on this and people were commenting, so you want homeless people at schools? No, why don't you look into what the policy actually is? Because that's what it actually does. It just brutalizes homeless people more. Now, in Los Angeles, they've been doing policies like this since 2013. And you know what's happened? Homelessness has doubled. What does that tell you? These policies don't frickin' work. Not only are they brutal, they're brutal and cruel, but they don't work. So why not try something that does work? Like, I don't know, a Housing First initiative, something that has a 100% success rate everywhere it's been tried around the frickin' world, including Utah. Why not try that? Can Los Angeles afford that, Ron? Yes. We can afford it many times over. We can even get some of that money from the police budget, because they get over 54% of the city budget in Los Angeles. And that's money that's not going towards actual crime prevention, like education programs, like parks, like schools, like housing assistance. Instead, it's going towards sweeps where they brutalize people. I don't think any person with a pulse would be in supportive of these sweeps if they've ever actually seen one. And I've seen some from a distance in person, and I've seen footage of some. They're just inhumane cruelty. They're just wiping these people away like they're like they're ants or something. It is disgusting beyond comprehension. So So that's what 4118 really is. So if anyone was thinking about, spouting off a bunch of ignorance, like, oh, well, no, they just don't want, I guess Ron wants homeless people on school playgrounds. No, of course I don't. I don't want any people who shouldn't be there. I mean, who would, what a ridiculous, how are there people on this planet that really think, anyway, all right. So here's something from that. This is what happened. So they had a city council gathering for this, and this is what protesters did. Check this out. So they're chanting "Shut him down," and they're chanting it at council member Joe Buscaino, who is my council person. Not for much longer, thank goodness. He's terrible, and he's in favor of this, obviously, and they're chanting "Shut him down." So let's watch this. This is pretty nice, actually.
Members? So to everybody who's shouting, we will clear the room if you continue. So. I mean, really?
Yeah, really.
So we're going to clear the room. If you don't be quiet, we will clear the room and you'll all be out. So, to repeat, we will clear the room if you don't let the...
What a sad human. And I can't tell from this video. I can't tell if that's Joe Buscaino saying that or somebody else, but you can just hear the sadness in their voice and how pathetic they are. They took the boot out of their mouth every time we will clear the room. Sounds like the villain in Office Space. Like, yeah, if you could stop chanting because you think homeless people are human beings, that'd be great. How sad. What a sad human, whoever that is. How sad. I wonder if that person had a moment of self-reflection and thought, what am I doing with my life? That I just had to discipline a room full of protesters who are protesting because they believe that homeless people are human beings. And they don't want ordinance passed that will just brutalize homeless people even more. Oh, and by the way, you know what else they did? You know what else they did for this? So they were supposed to rule on it on, I believe, Monday, but they pushed it to another day. Why did they push it? Well, because they knew a bunch of homeless people were going to come to the hearing. So they scheduled a bunch of sweeps to brutalize the homeless so that the homeless wouldn't show up to City Hall. You can't show up to City Hall if what little property you have is being destroyed. They knew that. So they ordered. So basically, they're like, we need to brutalize the homeless so we can go pass more policy so we can brutalize the homeless more. That's your city. That's Los Angeles. This is why you don't want real estate developers running your city. I repeat, this is why you don't want real estate developers running your city. Because here's the way the system works, okay? They use homeless people as a pawn. And the more of them, quite frankly, the easier it is for these parasites, i.e. the real estate developers. So what they do is they get some entity, maybe it's someone elsewhere in the state, maybe it's some foreign entity, whoever it is, and they're like, hey, you should gobble up all this property in X neighborhood. It's going to be great. You're going to love it, I swear. Then they sell a bunch of property. They get a bunch of money. Then what they do is they use their policy abilities to push all the homeless people into that neighborhood. Then the people who purchase that property from them, the oligarchs, they're like, oh, geez, sorry. I guess it's not going so great for this neighborhood. Sorry. Tell you what, we'll buy it back from you. I mean, we're not going to pay what you paid us, but we'll buy it back from you. Take it off your hands. Okay, cool. So then they buy it back. Once it's theirs again, now they've already made some money, but once it's theirs again, here's what they do. They push all the homeless people somewhere else. Then they gentrify that area and jack up prices. Rinse and repeat. That's why real estate developers love being involved in local government, because they use human beings like their checkers to exploit neighborhoods and maximize profits in neighborhoods. And this is not unique to Los Angeles. This goes on in every major city in the United States, and even some non-major cities where they can pull something like this off. And that's what this is really all about. That's what this is really all about. So they shut down this meeting. They were successful in shutting down this meeting. So how did city council respond, you ask? Well, clearly the people have spoken, and they're not for this. So what ended up happening? Well, here's what ended up happening. This might be kind of small for you to see. LA City Council just voted on the 4118 amendment that expands criminalization zones to 20% of the city. Only 3 members voted no. 3 members voted no. Everyone else voted yes. So it was 11 yes and 3 no. Now, note, this is from the tweet. We are hearing that this is not the final vote due to Kevin De Leon's amending motion. He's a member of the city council who had an embarrassingly terrible run for mayor that failed miserably. And to what I've seen so far, it looks like they're going to vote again on Tuesday. So this isn't cast in stone yet. They're going to have to vote again on Tuesday. But it's not looking good for 4118. Despite community members showing up to the point where they shut down the meeting, city council apparently doesn't care, with exception to 3 members. And what I tweeted, there are 3 members of the city council who care about human beings. The rest just want to help out their developer cronies, because that's really what this is all about. Local politics is different from federal. It's different. There's some similarities, sure, but it's different. And usually you have a choice between somebody who actually wants to be a member of the community and somebody who wants to exploit it. That's what you're choosing between. And all too often, the exploiters win. Usually because people just don't show up. So that's happening in Los Angeles. And we'll see what happens on Tuesday. We'll follow up on this. But it is not looking good. And shout out to all the activists who shut down that meeting. Shout out to them. And shout out to No Sweeps LA, because they had a toolkit where if you could not physically be present, I personally was not able to physically be present, they gave you tools that you could use to help out online, tweeting city council members and so forth, and different resources you could use to help out if you couldn't physically be present. So shout out to them for that. That is awesome. All right, let's go towards, let's do Antitrust Summer. Let's see what's going on here with Antitrust Summer. So first, we'll start with the bad news on Antitrust Summer. Then we'll go to the, all right. That's what we'll call it. We'll call it, all right. It's like Dazed and Confused if that guy was less confident. It's Matthew McConaughey's character was a little more hesitant when he was, talking about how much he loved underage girls. Wasn't that his line? He's like a 30-year-old. He's just like, high school girls. Yeah. What a creep. That's a great movie, though. I love that movie. Who doesn't love that movie? Has anyone seen that movie and not liked it? That's one of those movies. You got to like that movie. Anyway, okay. So Antitrust Summer, as you know, I've been collaborating with the organization Fight for the Future on a campaign to get 2 antitrust bills that would break up big tech through. They have overwhelming bipartisan support in Congress. They have support across the aisle. Everyone from Josh Hawley to Bernie Sanders wants to see these things passed. They are good bills, and we got a real shot at passing them. Chuck Schumer won't bring them to a vote. Why? Because his daughter works for Amazon. That's why. His daughter works for Amazon. And big tech has a hell of a lobby that infiltrates our politics. And here's an update. That's not good, because as you guys know, it's August. Let's close out of that here. Senate won't vote on tech antitrust bill before summer recess, Klobuchar says. This is from CNBC. The most promising tech antitrust bill to move through Congress won't get a vote before the summer recess. Klobuchar said she talked with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer last week about having a vote on the American Innovation and Choice Online Act in the fall. The bill's proponents fear the longer it takes to put the bill to a vote, the more time tech lobbyists will have to sow seeds of doubt. Yeah, and they might be able to water down the bill even. So, the bill's champions say the reform is necessary to rebalance the power in digital markets. Schumer previously said he aimed to put the bill to a vote by early summer, but while Klobuchar and others have expressed confidence the bill would receive a filibuster-proof majority if brought to the Senate floor, Schumer had yet to schedule the vote by the Senate's final week in session before the August recess. The bill could get another shot later this year after the midterm elections, though that leaves little time to get it done. Many of the bill's supporters believe it will be much harder to pass if Republicans gain control of the House, as many pollsters predict they will. Chances are, if this doesn't happen before the midterms, it's likely not going to happen. Even though, again, this bill does have some support from Republicans. But, I mean, when the balance of power shifts, like there's just a new set of priorities. If we don't get a vote before the midterms, it's likely not going to happen. And it's not looking great for after the recess, although, here is an update. This is from Evan Greer of Fight for the Future. Check this out. This is actually from, I believe, this morning. Boom. Breaking, a spokesperson for Senator Schumer told the New York Post that he's planning to bring big tech antitrust bill ACOA up for a vote. His office has been giving a similar statement for weeks, but the last part of this is new, and it tracks with what Amy Klobuchar said about a September vote. So there have been grumblings about a September vote. Now, here's the article that comes from. Let's go to the New York Post article here. So check out this headline, by the way. Chuck Schumer's son-in-law lands lucrative gig at private equity giant Blackstone. Everybody at Chuck Schumer's family just works for these repulsive companies. Like his daughter works for Amazon. His other daughter is a lobbyist with Meta, which is Facebook. He has a son-in-law who works for Blackstone, which is that's like the housing behemoth that just brutalizes our housing market. So here's the part that's relevant to antitrust summer here. The Schumer's children's ties to big tech have fueled some concerns, just a little bit, that the Senate Majority Leader has an inherent conflict of interest when it comes to regulating powerful companies. The New York Democrat has been accused of moving too slowly, fairly accused, by the way, in bringing to the floor vote on antitrust legislation that aims to limit the power of companies such as Amazon, Facebook, Apple, and Google. During a recent sit-down with Democratic Party donors, Schumer said that a bill co-sponsored by Senator Amy Klobuchar and Chuck Grassley doesn't have enough votes to pass. However, here's the quote, Senator Schumer is working with Senator Klobuchar and other supporters to gather the needed votes, said Angela Ruffaro, a spokesperson for the Senate Majority Leader. So that is something that says we still got a pulse here, folks. We still got a pulse. It ain't over yet. It ain't looking good, I'm not going to lie, but it ain't over yet. Klobuchar is talking about a potential September vote, and according to a spokesperson for Chuck Schumer, he's allegedly working with her. Now, here's the deal. According to two different reports from Reuters, and according to Chuck Grassley, according to Amy Klobuchar, they do have the votes. They're saying, we got the votes. The votes are here. So it's just a matter of Chuck Schumer getting over his conflicts of interest and bringing this to a vote because he knows that the public demands it, and he's going to have to concede on this one. How can you help? Go to antitrustsummer.com, sign the petition. Do not let up. If you've already signed the petition, call your representatives. Demand there be action on Antitrust Summer as soon as August recess is over. We need to let these elected officials know, hey, guess what? It'll be a good look if you go into the midterms passing the strongest antitrust legislation we've seen since the 1980s. That's a good look going into the midterms. Because guess what? These politicians, they're corrupt beyond repair, but they don't want to lose their jobs. So you tell them, hey, pretty good look. Antitrust legislation, Best in 40 some years. You're passing it right before the midterms. That's a pretty good look. But if we're quiet, then it ain't gonna matter. They're just gonna do they're just gonna do what their donors want. That's what they're gonna do. So please go to antitrustsummer.com. Antitrustsummer.com. Sign the petition. If you've already signed, tweet Chuck Schumer. Do everything you can. Do everything you can. Everything you can. We gotta scream on this one. It's not over yet, folks. There was some bad news this week because August came. Klobuchar said a vote ain't going to happen before August recess because I believe August recess officially starts on the 8th. But it ain't over yet. We still got a pulse. There is a pulse. The summer is still a brewing. It's an antitrust summer, baby. Complete with a heat wave, but the good kind. The good kind of heat wave. The antitrust kind of heat wave. You get the idea. And by the way, before we move on, I want to share this thread from More Perfect Union because I feel like they summed it up very eloquently. Like, this is a very eloquent thread, and I'm also really encouraged to see More Perfect Union. I like More Perfect Union. I respect their work a lot. I really love seeing them getting into the digital rights sphere. Now, I did DM them about the Antitrust Summer campaign. Is this because I DM'd them? I can't say for sure, but I'm sure it didn't hurt. I don't know. I guess they saw my DM, hopefully. Maybe it has nothing to do with that. Maybe they were going to cover it anyway. I don't know. But I'd like to think they saw my DM. Anyway, all right. So let me go through this thread, and then we're going to move on to the final story for the day. Chuck Schumer refuses to hold a vote for a bill that would rein in big tech, despite sponsors insisting they have 60 votes to pass it. The current system, which an Amazon insider described as a Ponzi scheme, will continue indefinitely. Currently, big tech companies are allowed to self-preference on their platforms. That means a lot of things. One is that despite having worse reviews, Amazon can rank its own products higher than small businesses in search results. Want to rank higher? Pay Amazon more money. The payment happens through two services the company offers: advertising on Amazon Search and fulfillment by Amazon, the company's logistics network. If you sell something on Amazon, you are essentially required to use both. Amazon is America's de facto online storefront. The company is notoriously secretive about its data, but some analysts estimate that it accounts for nearly 57% of all U.S. online sales. It uses that power to extract fees totaling 55% of the purchase price from some sellers. So if you're a seller on Amazon, which if you have any type of business, you pretty much have to be, you don't have a choice, you're only getting about 50, you're getting less than half in most cases of the purchase price. In most cases, you're getting less than half. Amazon's monopoly power behavior is devastating to American entrepreneurship. In a recent survey of over 900 Amazon sellers by the Institute of Local Self-Reliance, 62% of respondents said it wasn't possible to build a successful brand on the platform. They've taken control of the e-commerce supply chain. Senator Schumer is ensuring it stays that way by refusing to hold a vote on the American Choice and Innovation Online Act, ACOA for short. And why is this important? Well, because when antitrust policy happens, it allows us to reach our potential as a society. And a great example of this that I know you all have heard me talk about before is AT&T. Back in the day, AT&T had a monopoly on our phone service. And if you're a millennial or older, you remember the days when long-distance phone calls cost an arm and a leg and the blood of your firstborn. And you would make a long-distance call. And, I'm a millennial, so I was a kid when all this was going on. So occasionally we'd make a long-distance call from my family to my family in South Carolina or something. My parents would be sitting there with a stopwatch. They'd be like, you got 2 minutes to catch up with your cousin Greg, then get the hell off the phone because this is charging. This is your college tuition, all right? Get the hell off the phone. So that's what long-distance calling used to be like. Why? Because AT&T had a monopoly. Then what happened in the 80s, they broke AT&T up. All of a sudden, long-distance calling became a lot cheaper. All of a sudden, we got these inventions like the answering machine and the modem, which helped lead to the World Wide Web as we know it today. So Breaking up these monopolies allows us to reach our potential. What is going to be after a post YouTube for the internet? I don't know, but I'm excited to find out. We don't know if we can do better than Amazon or Google because they're not letting us find out. And guess what? I believe that we can. I believe there's a ton of innovation just waiting to burst forth at the seams on the internet. But because the internet is a monopolistic, capitalistic hellscape, it's not happening right now. How can it happen? Well, we need to have antitrust legislation to level the playing field for new and innovative products and services to have a chance. So again, antitrustsummer.com, and shout out to More Perfect Union for that excellent, excellent summary. All right, let's go to a little bit of good news. How about some kind of good news to close out here? And most of you may have heard this already earlier this week, but out in Kansas, abortion was on the ballot in Kansas. And, well, clearly anti-abortion won, right? This is Kansas. This is literally the home of the Westboro Baptist Church. Well, actually, no. This is from NPR, Nice Polite Republicans. Voters in Kansas decide to keep abortion legal in the state, rejecting an amendment that happened this week. Voters in Kansas rejected a proposed state constitutional amendment Tuesday that would have said there was no right to an abortion in the state. This was a 58% to, nearly 59%. It was 58.9% to 41.1%. So nearly 59% of voters in Kansas said, nope, we're keeping abortion. Kansas was the first state to vote on abortion rights since the U.S. Supreme Court handed down its ruling, striking down Roe v. Wade. President Joe Biden held Tuesday's vote and called on Congress to pass a law to restore nationwide abortion rights that were provided by Roe. So this goes to show you, first of all, shout out to Kansas. Great job, Kansas. And I think this just goes to show you the benefits of initiatives and ballot measures and how that's just such a better way to conduct laws in our society. Is it perfect? Of course not. There have been plenty of times where, because of big business propaganda, people have voted against their own interests. That happened recently here in California with Prop 22. That was the bill that just, allowed Uber and Lyft to keep exploiting people. So, yeah, it's certainly not perfect. But you look at cases like this and you realize, when you just let the people vote on policy directly, instead of having all these hurdles, it's way better. And I can speak personally from experience. There has been very, very few candidates I've been excited about other than at the local level my entire time living in California. But there have been plenty of measures and ballot initiatives that I've been real excited about. I was excited to vote for rent control. I was excited to vote for public banks. Now, every ballot measure I was excited about, did all of them pass? No. There's been some wins, there's been some losses. And there will be more wins and there will be more losses. There will be a lot more losses, let's be honest. I mean, if you're, anyone with anyone on the left in this country, like you lose constantly. Like we lose all the time. We lose. I mean, we pretty much only know losing, really. I mean, we get a few marginal wins here and there, and we got to frickin' cherish them for our own sake. But man. So, but this just goes to show you how it's so much better. I mean, I just think it's so, I think in a perfect world, or not a perfect world, but a better world, we wouldn't have Congress, we wouldn't have a Senate, we would just have a people's legislature. We would just have an organized people's legislature on the local level, on the state level, and on the federal level, and that's how we would just pass laws in this country. Would it have a lot of issues to it? Yeah. Would there need to be some kind of rules on what can and can't be done? Abso-freaking-lutely. Would there be the threat of big money really trying to persuade people and influence people in a very negative way? Abso-freaking-lutely. So this would not be a utopia, folks. Nowhere close. But it'd be a hell of a lot better than what we have now. At least I strongly believe that. Be a hell of a lot better. Guys, I'm going to go to the chat here in a second, but I do have a couple quick announcements. If anybody is in the Southern California area, First of all, I have a new project. I've already announced it to patrons and Rockfin Premium members, but I'll make a general announcement now. I am doing a historical interpretation of Lucian the satirist. Lucian was a satirist, and I guess you could call him a philosopher from ancient Syria. He was around 125 AD, so he was influenced by the ancient Greeks, and then he would go on to influence writers of the Renaissance. His work was rediscovered in the Renaissance. I would make the argument in some ways he was sort of the first comedian because he wrote satires and parodies. He wrote what is considered the first work of science fiction, and he toured. I mean, that was like what he did. He made humorous speeches all around the working world then. I mean, he went to Rome, he went to Athens, and by the way, you guys know that I am a firm believer that there are no heroes. And as I've been learning more about Lucian's life, many historians argue, and I see where their argument's coming from and agree with it, that Lucian himself wasn't a hero. But I still want to do a historic interpretation of him for a lot of reasons. And I'm going to present all of that in the show. That show is premiering on September 10th at 2 p.m. at the Corner Store in San Pedro, California. Of course, that's the Los Angeles area. 2 p.m., the Corner Store in San Pedro, California. The show is outdoors, and it is free. It's a free show. I'm going to be taping the show, and then after I tape it, I'm going to send it off to Renaissance fairs because I think that's a good start for where a show like this can find a home is Renaissance fairs. So if you're in the Los Angeles area, September 10th, 2 p.m., Corner Store, or if you're looking for an excuse to take a trip to Southern California, hey, come check out a free show on Saturday afternoon. You know, you could be at the beach by like 4. That's probably where I'll be, to tell you the truth. So yeah. And if you want to learn more about the project, check out my Substack. Go to romplacone.substack.com. Please subscribe. Please do that already if you haven't, quite frankly. Please subscribe to my Substack. But I write a descriptor that goes into more depth on the project and also has the information on the event, which again, you can go to romplacone.com, my website, for more information on that event. It is September 10th, 2 p.m., Corner Store in San Pedro, California, and it's free. And it'll be sunny and beautiful. Looking forward to it. Robert Gilbert, what's up, buddy? How are you? It was awesome seeing you this year on the road. Keep on rocking, Ron. Thank you so much, Robert. I appreciate that very much. You help keep this show on the air. And Chuck over on Rockfin. Chuck Zlatkin, thank you so much for the Rockfin tip. You help keep this show on the air. I hope you are doing very, very well. Tommy, what's up? Tommy No Cash. Let's see. Love and support from the UK. What's up, man? I can't wait to see you next year. I'm going to be touring the UK some next year. I hope I get to see you. I'm likely going to be doing the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. That's my hope. Fingers crossed. And I plan on doing some shows in London, maybe Manchester. We'll see. But let me know where you're at, Tommy, because I'm planning now for the UK tour next year. Love and support from the UK. Thank you very much. Hassan Piker is Novara Media UK left YouTube. You need to contact them and tell the UK left not to listen to TYT clowns. I'll be honest with you. I don't know what I don't know what Novara Media UK is. I guess that's a left YouTube thing in the UK. I'm not familiar with it, and I don't know anything about Hassan either, to tell you the truth. I mean, I know that he exists. Like, that's about all I know. I've never watched his content. But yeah, he's on Twitch, I think. I think that's his thing. He's like a Twitch guy. And is he directly involved with TYT? I don't know if I know he was. He used to work there. I don't know if he still does or not. But yeah, I mean, obviously he's related to Cenk Uygur. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, Tommy, you should write him. Are you a fan of the media company, the Navarre? I'll have to look into it, because if there's a lefty UK media company that wants to talk to American creators, I would love to talk to them, because I want to tour the UK. So yeah, Tommy, putting a good word for me. Putting a good word for me. It's instead of telling them who you don't want them to platform, tell them who you do want them to platform, and just be like, hey, how about you have Ron Placone? That'd be cool. Tommy, can you do that? That'd be cool. I would love that. Thank you, Tommy. Thank you very much, Tommy. But yeah, seriously, stoked to see you. So thank you very much, Tommy. Thank you very much, Robert. And thank you very, very much, Chuck, for the super chat contributions. You guys help keep this show on the air, and I appreciate it very, 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 very much. For information on the September 10th show, you don't need to get tickets. It's totally a free event, but you can go to ronplacone.com, and I hope to see you on September 10th. If you want to support this show on the sustainability end, again, Robert, Tommy, Chuck, thank you guys so much for your contributions. You help keep this show on the air. Another way to help keep this show on the air, become a patron. Patreon.com/Ron Placone. What all do you get for your membership? Well, first of all, it's a give what you can level. So you get all this stuff for as low as $1 a month. If you can give more than that, that's great. If you can't, $1 a month is awesome, and it goes a long way, and I'm looking to build a community. So your membership is way more important to me than the dollar amount. Whatever you can afford that won't hurt you is great. I don't want anyone hurting themselves financially on my account. So if you're thinking, hey, I won't miss an extra $1 a month, I got that to spare, awesome. If you're thinking, hey, I won't miss an extra $5 a month, that's awesome too. But whatever is comfortable for you is fantastic. And you get patron streams that are just for the patrons. You get, I will make you your own theme song. Makes a great gift, by the way. Makes a fantastic gift. You can watch my mini pilot Loner. It's a pilot that I wrote about a guy who's stuck in quarantine with the knowledge that he could be a millionaire if he invested in his ex-girlfriend's company, but he didn't. It's a funny pilot. You can check that out now. I haven't dropped that for the public yet. I will be, but if you want to watch the whole thing now, you can become a patron for as low as $1 a month. There's stand-up clips that I don't post anywhere else, all kinds of fun stuff, and that's all yours for as low as $1 a month. Oh, the other thing I do, I post everything I make on Patreon, because I know it's so crazy keeping track of YouTube and Twitter and Substack and short videos and YouTube Shorts and Instagram. It's crazy. So on my Patreon, I post everything. If I make a short video, I post a link on Patreon. I post the stream links on Patreon. I post the articles on Patreon. So Patreon is an easy one-stop shop for just all my stuff, including some exclusive stuff just for members. So please, if you got an extra $1 a month, patreon.com/Ron Placone. It is very much appreciated. Tommy, look after yourself. See you in England. Hell yeah. Thank you, Tommy. I can't wait to see you in England, man. I'm so stoked. I love it over there. I love it over there. Give England my regards. Guys, thank you so much for being here. We'll be back next week. I know I'm getting back into the swing of things. Was off last week for some touring, but we are back to our normal schedule. Expatriate will be coming back too. Speaking of international journeys, Expatriate will be back shortly. I gotta just put together the next episode, and my travel plans did kind of put that on hold for a bit. But Expatriate will be back next week, as will, of course, a regular Get Your News On with Ron segment. And in the meantime, you know the drill. Lucy, she says meow. I say peace, love, and a general strike.